before we start sharing our playoff experience, we must, give credit to all the Panathinaikos fans, media members as well, all the people around Oaxaca we met, and we shared some great, nice conversations, some great energy. Starting from our taxi driver, actually, Sotirius, I think it was his name. He was a great guide for us regarding Panathinaikos football team topics, but like when he dropped us close to Aka, a football stadium, which is close to the basketball court, it's basically like 5-8 minute walk from that place to the media entrance. So we basically made it in like 28 minutes maybe, because every 2 minutes, every, I don't know, 50 meters, we had some conversations, interactions with Panathinaikos fans, security guard, some guys driving the car shouting Panathinaikos in four, fans. One guy was from Switzerland who actually said that Gitis is also cool and funny. So, I mean, it
And
was amazing to feel this
you
love.
guys didn't get beaten up, because remember those messages come to Oaxaca and you finally came. So you want to tell me you had a great experience at Oaxaca?
They
Exactly.
all wrote those messages, to come to Aka to feel the love of basketball, of, basketball minds. And that's what we actually experienced. So, I mean, this is the feeling you can actually get only in few places in Europe and the entire world, I guess. Greece, Belgrade, and Kaunas. So, I mean, kudos to all these guys we met. Kudos to all basketball lovers. It's not given. It's a big gift. It's a big thing to have. Of course, until it's not getting violent or something, don't be too crazy. But to share this love of basketball, like on every corner of Athens, is something incredible. And it already made our EuroLeague playoff experience in Athens amazing before even the game started.
Can I ask you quickly, how did you enjoy the LED floor and the whole renovation of Oaxaca in person? Just quickly, was it impressive or as expected?
It is impressive. To me, it was impressive for sure. The arena looks completely fresh. The glass looks super cool, way cooler than on TV. I don't mind the dark colors. The presentation looks nice. And after the game, we went to like finish our vlog on that glass in the arena, and it looked even cooler from there. So yeah, I enjoy that as well. I'm not sure about Donatas, but I think he has the same opinion.
I mean, Augustus was excited as a kid, I would say, in the candy shop. But
I wanted to shoot, but Donatas did not want to shoot after the game. Like, there were kids playing, and we could have easily made a couple of shots, and Donatas was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that.
No,
I'm doing that on Thursday."
With Donatas, that's the thing. When you come with Donatas to any basketball game, there's a little child inside of me who wants to shoot some 3-pointers on a EuroLeague court, but Donatas gives you that disappointed dad look, and then you just say to yourself, "Oh, I can't do it, I guess, because it's embarrassing or it's not on brand with our professional."
As the first time I heard that,
that's exactly how I felt yesterday, man. Like, it is spot on description, spot on.
Wow. Speaking of kids, actually, we saw Sarv Ataman bowling. I mean, there were like plenty of kids after the game, like playing 5-on-5 on one side and like 3-on-3 on the other side. So it was also kind of an event, because I guess that like 80% of those kids were like kids from the players' families or stuff. So yeah. But again, we don't want to spoil too much, because we're gonna have our vlog published on BasketNews YouTube channel, where we kind of put our experience from the beginning, from the taxi drive to the post-game feelings about Oaxaca and about the first playoff game. So we wanted to exclude and to make that exclusive Oaxaca experience, because all these invitations that we had. But we're going to do a separate vlog as well with our full Greek playoff experience, because we're going to visit 4 games in 4 days, both in Sef. So yeah, stay tuned. That's what those kids say nowadays, right?
And it's time to stop tiptoeing around the main topic of today, which is Panathinaikos' incredible win, a comeback win, a back and forth game. highlighted by probably the best performance we've seen from Juancho Hernangomez. How was the emotion in the arena? I saw it so like back and forth and tense that I thought fans were having a emotional roller coaster. How were you guys? Were you surprised by the game? What were your main takeaways?
Donatas, you want to start or should I start? I think the emotional roller coaster is really great description of that, because there was like every time going up and down. The crowd was very emotional throughout the night. Not many lows, but a lot of highs. Like, if you can understand that every referee call is a bad call, even if Panathinaikos gets a foul for them, like, FS is punished with the foul, they are still like complaining. The crowd is still complaining because of what happened maybe 2 or 3 possessions before. So that's where I understood, this Greek passion that a lot of people told me about. And the crowd was great 2 hours before the game already inside. So that was super surprising. Every player is greeted before the entrance, like, I don't know, like they just made a game winning shot. And of course, Kendrick Nunn, the ovation for him was just on another level. MVP chance throughout the game. They kept singing despite FS leading a couple of times by 10 points. And I thought that was a great sign, because I've seen in Lithuania and everywhere else, if your team is down, the fan base is not always up to the standard. Like, they're a little bit slow, not as great. So you need great play from the team for fans to start chanting. This was not what happened in Oaxaca. Fans really, I thought, helped PAO in the fourth quarter, because just the pressure for the players, for the referees, were too much. And again, that fourth quarter magic happened. I saw the numbers for Panathinaikos in the fourth quarter on Twitter. I think it was from Free Steps Basket, that PAO has like 137 offensive rating in the fourth quarter at home. And before the fourth quarter, Donatas asked me, like, do you expect PAO still to come back from 8 points? And I'm like, yeah, it's Oaxaca magic, fourth quarter. And they cut the deficit in basically like 2 minutes and a half. Just a couple offensive rebounds from Yurtseven. And then, the game went back and forth, but some huge frees. Jedi Osman, other players hit big frees, and FS just couldn't score. I think both teams missed a lot of open frees, and I think that's going to be a trend going forward in this series, and it will depend a lot on just simply who makes more shots.
Yeah, you mentioned Oaxaca Magic, but that was not a typical Oaxaca Magic. I mean, because usually PAO destroys the guests like through their offense. Kendrick Nunn scores like 20 points in the fourth quarter, and that's how the game ends. This time, they allowed FS to score only 11 points. Actually, that's the second best defensive performance by Panathinaikos in the year, like the season, and the best one we all remember was against Žalgiris in that another turnaround fourth quarter magic win for Panathinaikos. So offensively, they were like according to their fourth quarter standards, because in the fourth quarters they scored 24.5 points. So basically, they scored 25 or fourth in the fourth quarter, and they win four quarters by 5 points, allowing 19. So it was a huge, let's say, huge input defensively, but you couldn't say that Panathinaikos did some tremendous defensive job. I don't think that this defense was some spectacular thing that happened. It was, as you mentioned, about FS missing a lot of shots, and a lot of strange things, let's put this way, happened with FS offense, because they scored 11 points, which is actually also the second lowest scoring performance in the fourth quarter by FS. 2 from 11 from the field with 5 turnovers. And what's insane that FS grabbed 8 offensive boards in a fourth quarter. So they had 8 extra chances and they made only 2 field goals. To me, that was crazy. And when I rewatched the fourth quarter, like you see Elijah Bryant missing some couple of open looks from the 3-point line, especially that one with 1 minute to play. Derek Willis also missed an open three in the last minute of the game. You have Shane Larkin missing from nice positions as well. He also missed a free throw uh, with 90 seconds to play. It was crucial free throw to tie the game. And I checked his stats, like he made 92% of free throws this season. So a lot of unusual things happened for FS, which again comes to Oaka's magic, that makes some special things for Pana or for their opponents. But I really feel that FS guys, after this game, especially rewatching the game and the tape, also had that feeling that we had this win in our pocket. Like just few made shots, some luck, some confidence, and we were about to shatter the series, stealing the home court advantage in Waka.
Yeah, I guess you guys said that the defense from PAO wasn't necessarily as impressive as you would expect. It was more about Ephesus's struggles on offense, but I think you could say the same about Panathinaikos' struggles on offense in the fourth quarter as well. I think there was like 4 offensive fouls between the both teams at one point. There was a stretch of that. Also, just a total of 9 turnovers between both teams, 4 and 5 respectively. So sluggish in terms of offense, the fourth quarter in general. The ending, as you said, I feel like FS, those 2 open looks that they could have tied the game with and didn't use their chances. They can only blame themselves. And that dagger from the corner by Jerry and Grant, amazing ball movement, but that was just a consequence of not using your opportunities by FS, and that was it. Like the commentator named him the MVGG. Do you know what that stands for? No.
MVGG?
It's most valuable glue guy.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. I like that expression about Jerry and Grant. But there's another thing I wanted to bring up. Of course, we're going to talk about Juancho, but since we crowned the new MVP, Kendrick Nunn, he was, you could say, effectively, he was slowed down. 4 fouls in the fourth quarter. He had to take himself out of the game. 7 minutes left. Shooting wise, not his worst shooting night so far, but he had the worst against Barcelona, if I remember it correctly. But 4 of 15 from the field, 4 turnovers. Not something that you probably expect. Of course, some fouls were not called maybe in the eyes of PAO fans, but for me, the wild part is that he still managed to create space for himself. He left in the first half, it was Larkin who was assigned to him. He left him behind many times, whether it was like on ISO or after receiving a screen. Actually, one thing to note, amazing screen setting from all PAO's bigs, because None just ran away with it. Every single time a screen came, even if it was really high up, like a meter or 2 behind the 3-point line, he would create that space, get into the paint. He just couldn't make those shots. So I'm saying maybe, some contact he didn't expect or didn't follow through with. Some of those were just unlucky shots. But in general, what I wanted to say about Kendrick Nunn and his performance, if you have this quite a bad shooting night from Kendrick, I'd say C+ performance offensively from him, and you can't capitalize on it, and you still can't hold the lead that you built throughout 3 quarters, I really don't expect FS to have a chance once K-Nunn actually delivers on what we're used to, because I don't think this was a matter of FS's great lockdown defense. I think it was just a matter of Kendrick Nunn missing his shots in the first game.
That's
Augustus, you have a different opinion?
No. That's where I was going to talk about Kendrick Nunn. And I completely agree that this was the FS best chance. You have PAO in the first game, a lot of pressure to win at home. And you have their leader, their MVP, the best player, the best offensive player in the league, having this subpar game. And he was, I would say, struggling right after the first couple of minutes. He made 1 3-pointer, I think, in the first quarter. And what FS were trying to do, were just forcing Kendrick Nunn as much to the right hand as possible. Like on every screen, they're trying to influence him going right to his weaker hand. he doesn't feel as comfortable pulling up, let's say, from 3-point land when going to the right. So he still he still went left one time and made one 3-pointer in the first quarter, I think, because Shane was on him. So it was not like you need great screens. Kendrick can just beat pretty easily Shane Larkin off the dribble. But I thought they did a average, above average job of just limiting Kendrick Nunn to his right hand and just making the game tougher for him. But at the same time, you do that, you don't win. And I'm not expecting Kendrick Nunn not to, let's say, adjust before game 2, not to understand where he spots, how to attack. And we've seen that last year against Maccabi as well. I think, if I remember correctly, Kendrick Nunn did not have a great games 1 and 2 either in the series against Maccabi. And then he had some crazy second halves later in the series. So he will adjust. I'm not sure if FS, instead of forcing him to the right hand, can they do anything else about him? So that's what I thought, this was FS's best chance to winning, and they did not. So they should be a little bit sad about that, but there is no time actually to do that.
Yeah, Donatas, can I ask you one thing? Oh, okay. If you have something about Nunn, but I have a question for you about Juancho. So if you have something about Nunn,
just one last note about Kenan. His stat line in Panathinaikos losses this season is 15.8 points, 4 assists, 3.2 turnovers, 52% from 2 and 31% from 3. Nunn yesterday was 15 points, 5 assists, 4 turnovers, and even worse, 26% from the field. I've checked that Nunn scored 15 points or less in Oaxaca only once this season against Asvel, but they managed to pull that victory. It was a close game. So again, Kendrick Nunn displayed a losing stat line, what is usually a losing stat line for Panathinaikos, and it still wasn't enough for Efes. So again, it comes back to what Augusta said, what I also mentioned, that Efes had a good opportunity to steal that one win, but not one win, but home court advantage, and to make the series really spicy. But that's what makes this Panathinaikos win so important, that even under these circumstances, they won the game. And Juancho, what do you have about Juancho?
Well, I was going to say, speaking of MVPs, the MVP of the game, Juancho Hernangomez, I wanted to ask you, what did you mean by we had a bit of a poorly aged take in the halftime? Because obviously he finished with 40 PIR, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, you could say a perfect game despite missing 2 free throws. What were your takes through the halftime?
This is my take. I'm watching the first half. I'm doing a lot of filming for vlog. It's hard to focus on the game. But one thing I keep hearing from Augustus, who was sitting next to me, oh, this Juancho. So I don't know what he meant about it. Can you expand on it, Augustus?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're not going to put it on the vlog, so at least somewhere it has to be, right? No, but at the half or in one of those timeouts, I said that, I've read on Twitter, WhatsApp, Discord, whatever, that Juancho deserves Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm not diminishing his game yesterday. That was fantastic. But like in the second quarter, he got beat like 5 times in a row, not making a foul before bonus, not doing any of that stuff. Just got beaten. Like FS scored like 12 points, 14 points because he was the weak link where the advantage was created. So I just said to Donatas that, I don't want to hear that Juancho deserves to be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversations. But he delivered a superb game in the second half, scoring, rebounding, and just doing whatever Panathinaikos needed. But, it's not a poor H take because of the defense. It was strictly about his defense. But he had an MVP type of game, so why we need to focus on that? I thought he was amazing. I think it's astonishing that he played 39 minutes in this high-paced basketball, and I'm not sure if he can continue doing so. Like, he will need to take some rest. And Ataman will need, I think, to include bench players more, because what I saw from Juancho at the end of the game, he was a little bit kind of limping. I'm not sure if this is anything serious. Probably not, because he finished the game. But 39 minutes is a lot if you want to play great offense and great defense at the same time. So that was the take.
Was this a statement from Juancho to anyone who doubted his, let's say, inclusion into the second EuroLeague team, including ourselves, by the way? We were not really seeing Juancho in that second team. Would you say this was a direct response to any doubters and haters like us?
Donatas, you don't have anything
I mean,
to add about Juancho?
I actually, when we made those all EuroLeague teams, I had him as a borderline player for the second team. So probably his statement was directed to somebody else, not me.
Oh, of course not you.
I had him. I believed in him. After the series, off topic, but he picked Barca in 5, and after the series, he will say, "Yeah, but
to motivate Monaco."
To motivate Monaco. That's what I did to motivate my team." So the same now goes to Juancho.
Probably last thing we should touch on is what shouldn't be in the headlines, but is every single time, and it's Ergin Ataman starting playoffs. Going into playoff mode. Would you call it that? With these statements about or towards Luka Banki? Maybe Donatas, you could give some context to the listeners.
I think they all know, but yeah, Donatas can do that definitely.
To give some context to what I remember before the series, I was stating that probably is going to be the calmest, the friendliest playoff series for Ergin Ataman, because he's facing his former team, where he still has, let's say, influence in advising the ownership on some really important decisions. And then following the game one, after a win, he is addressing Luka Banki, basically saying that FS held a pre-game practice at CEF in Olympiacos Arena, not in Oaxaca, where the game is played, so which is very unusual. And he took it as something like Banki didn't want to have this practice because maybe Ataman and his coaching staff, Panathinaikos, I'm not pointing at anybody, that supposedly they could have filmed the practice. So avoid that situation, he decided to have this practice at their rivals' stadium in CEF. So, that made Ataman really angry, and he made those statements, very specific statements in his opening statements at the press conference. And he went at Luka Banki. So,
and not only Luka Banki, but media as well, who are instigators of these conspiracies about the referees being assigned and so on. But I mean, from my standpoint, some fair points made by, let's say, our colleague Todd Warnick, who wrote a whole article about who was appointed to which games. 5 games in a row for Difala to be refereeing and for Panathinaikos. That would never happen in the NBA. So it was fair points from my standpoint. I don't know why that was brought up.
And that's the thing. This is the simplest topic, because to me, it's only the EuroLeague provocating any kind of talks, rumors, conspiracy theories by making these nominations. It's crazy. You could easily avoid it. Just put Difala in Olympiacos series. That's it. But what is also interesting, that Difala didn't referee in I think Todd also pointed in his article that Difala didn't referee in any single Olympiacos game this season. After EuroLeague got some backlash from Olympiacos, or I think there was this scandalous game with some referee decisions where Difala was also involved, and suddenly he was not officiating in Olympiacos games, if I remember that well from Todd's story. So, I mean, there are some, stupid things that not media escalated. Okay, there is a chance that media made some emphasis on this topic, but to me, it's the EuroLeague provocating any kind of, conspiracies and stuff by making those nominations, even if they could avoid it. So, sorry, Ergin,
I don't know,
ask EuroLeague.
but as in media in general, because not necessarily us three, but I think media just brought what is a fact into the light, and that's all. That's the job that was done.
And just to add some context, I've heard that this topic was a big thing in Greece already even before Todd's analysis. So, it was an ongoing thing, but just we as an international website also gave up, let's say, some spotlight toward this topic. But when it's coming from the referee coach who worked in the EuroLeague, I mean, that's probably important, and that's probably quite fair to make emphasis on those things. But what do you think about this Bangi situation? Because I think that's the main thing. That's the main topic that everybody is coming out from the game one experience.
For me, as I introduced it, Ergin Ataman's playoff mode, I did it for a reason, because I feel like he's doing this sort of a strategy, mind games, whatever you want to call it, every single time, every single season, every single postseason. You can hate it, you can love it, whether you like it doesn't matter. The fact is, it works. It works out one way or another. Ataman's raising the trophy at the end of the season usually, whether it's coming into the Final Four in Berlin and saying we're just gonna leave because there was lack of security, or I'm gonna leave the coaching job here if we don't make the Final Four in the first place. These kind of statements, we could say, takes away the attention from the players, because that's what we saw last year when his main guards, main leaders were struggling. He took the spotlight, and instead of the media, the fans focusing on which players underperformed in that series against Maccabi, it was all about what Ataman said. And you could think of it as a way to take pressure off the talent you have, I guess. What do you think, Augustus?
I just did not expect that. It's FS, is his former team, and to attack them like that after one game. What will happen if they lose one game? I mean, you usually hear Ataman just only after losses, these big quotes, but now he gave one after one game. It was weird, just because of his former team. And I mean, if FS, thought this can happen, then I can understand why they did it. I mean, you take every measure you can. So, but it was pretty bold from both sides, I would say.
From my point of view, the weirdest thing to me, and I don't have any inside information on this matter. I don't know who took those calls and stuff, but to me, what's weird that Ataman is criticizing Luka Banki specifically. But honestly, when I think about the whole situation, we're talking about Ataman's ex-team. The ownership, okay, some of the front office people has changed, but still, team managers, assistant coaches that worked with Ataman are still on the team. So do you guys really think that it's only Luka Banki who suddenly came out before the game and said, hey, I think Ataman, my spy, my practice, we should switch it to Seth? And everybody was like, okay, and didn't question his decision. So that's the weirdest part to me. I really doubt it was only Banki's call, or he made this, let's say, his own decision to take the team to Seth. I mean, people from FS, they would have disapproved, I guess, easily, because putting the practice in Olympiacos gym, that it's a ticking bomb. I mean, for sure, it's going to be addressed. And you're talking about your ex-coach, who is still very respected and important figure on the team, and it's gonna be forever. So, I mean, I'm just surprised that Ataman is going at Banki. Maybe it's the easiest target in his eyes and his perception. And again, it's a basketball target. Again, what Gita said, to put the focus on some enemy you create, to put the pressure and focus from the players, from the basketball side, part of Ataman's mind's game. But when I try to find a logical explanation, to me it's really weird that he is addressing only Banki, because I cannot believe that it was only Banki's call. Who knows? Maybe Banki, said that I'm not going to coach my team if we're practicing in Laka. Who knows? I don't know that. But to me, that's a really weird part.
A counter argument would be that it actually makes the most sense, because he wouldn't want to have any negative statements towards the management that he's close to. So he just chooses one person who wasn't there when he was there, who, like you said, is from the basketball side more than from the management side. So that could be the case as well.
Sure, but in
he's
general,
the
you're attacking FS, not Banki. You're attacking entire organization. Just putting Banki as the, let's say, main guy
Scapegoat
of the topic. Yeah, exactly.
But exactly, like the head coach, is the easiest replaceable guy if we're talking about like front office management. Probably the sports director, the GM, the president will be there for a couple of more years. Luca Banchi, who knows? Not criticizing his job at all, but just looking at this situation from this perspective. That Ataman knows that probably with the FS management, he will need to deal for the future. And with Banki, who knows how much longer he's going to coach FS? Maybe one season more, maybe even shorter. We didn't want to touch on this topic, but we still talked about it like for 10 minutes. That just tells you how big of a resonance this story got here. And
I just never know
the whole EuroLeague.
With Ataman, I never know if he's playing a character, like if it's intentional what he's doing, or it's just a natural thing he just says without thinking, and then everything just kind of works out for him. Like luck is always with him, or is this like mind games? This is what I'm always debating in my own head. What is happening with this guy?
Who knows? But I think it's just him. It's just him.
I think that's it. I think that's all we had to cover.
Just a reminder to our viewers and listeners that we're going to make a podcast following every EuroLeague night. So Olympiacos fans, get ready for the podcast tonight or tomorrow, more realistically. But once again, we're going to cover all those series and all those games. Sorry for Fenerbahce and Paris fans. We didn't have time to watch the game with Augustus yet, but for sure, going forward, we will give more time to cover all the games. And the start, the beginning of the playoffs, like as it was promising, it's going to be real interesting, exciting, and dramatic as always in the EuroLeague.